Now talking about sampling, extremely important topic for you to understand sampling, which can either be probability sampling, or it can be a non-probability sampling in PS, non-probability sampling. Fine. So first I'll be talking to you about the methods used in probability samples. Probability sampling, first you need to understand probability sampling. This helps to prevent volunteer bias. You are often asked in the exam, which type of bias does it prevent? That is volunteer bias. This comes as a multiple choice question in your BCBR exam. And probability sampling is done for what? It is done basically for quantitative research. I've told you the difference between qualitative and quantitative research. This is done for quantitative research. Fine. Talking about the methods now. First one is simple random sampling. Simple random sampling. In this sampling, there is no subgroups formation. There is formation of no subgrouping, no subgroups. Fine. This can be done. Simple random sampling is possible in hospital-based studies. For hospital-based studies, we use simple random sampling. I told you about that when people volunteer for a study, or convenient sampling, we say that. So that is a problem, because in that what happens when people volunteer, there is a chance of having a bias. The person who is volunteering, he or she may have the disease or might not have, so there is a volunteer bias. So this is avoided by sampling. Then talking about the second type of sampling, that is systematic sampling. Systematic sampling. So this is basically used when the population is finite. The population should be finite and well defined. So in a finite and well defined, population, what we use is systematic sampling. In systematic sampling, the sampling interval is determined by k, which is equal to n upon n. N is the population and n is the sample size. Like, I'll give you a very simple, like every 8th house in a population, we have identified, we have done a survey and we have to find where is the disease prevalent. So we mark every 7th or every 8th house. So this is a systematic sampling. Then we come on to another method of sampling, that is known as stratified sampling. What happens basically in stratified sampling is that homogeneous subgroups are divided. Stratified sampling, we have in stratified sampling, homogeneous subgrouping is done. Homogeneous, always remember the groups here are homogeneous, not heterogeneous. This is very commonly asked in the exam. Homogeneous subgroups. Also, this is known as strata. An excellent example of this is vaccination coverage. We take homogeneous subgroups. Okay, then after that, what I'll be talking to you about is cluster sampling, cluster or area sampling. Cluster or area sampling, here also we take homogeneous groups. This is important. Homogeneous groups, but the size here is not finite. So if the size is not finite, we stick with cluster sampling. If the size is finite and well defined, we stick with systematic sampling. Last but not the least, extremely important, what I'm going to tell you now is the last type of sampling, that is multi-stage sampling. Multi-stage sampling. So here what we do is we take several chained samples. Several chained samples. Okay, several chained samples, several statistical units, several statistical units. First, what we do is, first step here. First step we take is we cluster. First we do clustering. First step we done is clustering. We clustering a total population by geographic region. A total population by geographic region. And once we do this clustering, next step is we divide each cluster into second stage cluster. Divide each cluster into second stage clusters by neighborhood. Second stage clusters. By the neighborhood. So we have finished all the types of probability sampling. Some points about probability sampling now. First of all, probability samples, they allow the use of statistics. We can apply stats here. Allow use of stats or statistics. Every member of the population has a known non-zero chance of being selected. This allows the researchers to make valid, generalizable inferences about the entire population. Now, why is that? Because the sample size is representative. Statistical inferences are confidence intervals, hypothesis tests, null hypothesis, alternative hypothesis, and p-values, probability values less than 0.05, then we accept the alternate hypothesis. If more than, then we reject it. You know all of this, right? So now talking about NPS, that is non-probability sampling. Okay, this basically, in this what we do is, the first I'll explain what is NPS, non-probability sampling. This does not give what? Does not give what? All individuals in the population an equal chance, does not give equal chance of being selected. That is non-probability sampling. Now the types here is, one is convenience sampling, which I told you. Convenience sampling. Convenience sampling, basically convenience, where the volunteers themselves a volunteer that we want to participate. So therefore, when volunteers are involved, so this can lead to volunteer bias. Second type is purposive sampling. Now what is purposive sampling? I'll be explaining this in great depth because you need to know about it. Purposive sampling is also known as judgmental sampling, based on the judgment. Purposive also known as judgmental or selective sampling. As it's but obvious that was used in quantitative research, probability sampling, so this will obviously non-probability will use in qualitative research. Fine. Judgmental or selective sampling. Okay, so what it is based on, judgmental or selective sampling, this is basically based on judgment, not on random selection, so it can't reliably support, so it is not reliable. This is extremely important. This is not reliable. Okay. Then researchers deliberately select participants who have specific characteristics or experiences that are relevant to the research question. So we try that we don't go with these sampling methods. We go with the earlier ones which I told you, right? Okay, fine. Then after that, talking about another form of sampling, that is non-probability sampling, that is snowball. You all have seen a snowball, right? Snowball sampling. First it is small. Why it is called? This is extremely interesting and easy to know. This is a snowball. Then it rolls down and it becomes bigger in size. Then it again rolls down and becomes more bigger in size. Then it again rolls down and become more bigger in size. Exactly, that is why it is called as snowball sampling. Why? I'll tell you. It is used to identify or hidden or hard to reach populations. For example, drug users. Hidden or hard to reach populations like drug users in the absence of a sampling frame. It is commonly used while probing highly sensitive topics like drug use, alcohol abuse, smoking. Now these are highly sensitive topics. This is an analogy which I just told you to indicate the increasing enrollment similar to increasing the size of snowball as it rolls. Like as we will get more people, that way our snowball will increase. That is, our sample size will increase. Highly sensitive topics. Non-probability does not give all the individuals equivalent chance. No equal chance is given. Okay. Bye.